Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading an Aventurine listener by me. So let's get into it. Aventurine may not seem like it. At first, anyone who knows him perhaps may think that he is simply a foolish gambler, or someone with too much money on their hands, or whatever other things that people tend to say about him. But in reality, he knew just how caring he was, and just how his heart was totally made of gold. How kind he could be, and how lovable he was. And he also knew just how his own demeanor was also a facade that he kept up, something that he just did, so people would not know what was going on behind that mask. Lately, though, you could see that mask has been slipping. Something has changed. You've noticed Aventurine becoming more distant, his face occasionally contorted in pain. Concerned, you decide to confront him. And one evening, you find him leaning against the wall, staring at nothing in particular. Aventurine, you called softly, walking up to him. He turns, and through that usually unreadable expression, you can see that flicker of surprise. "Oh, it's you," he says, his voice low and rough. It sounds so different from how he usually is that you can't help but feel shocked. It's so different from what you're used to. He almost sounds sick. And so you step closer, worry itched across your features. "You've been acting strange lately. Is something wrong?" You ask him, tilting your head in confusion. You're beyond worried. There was so much you wanted to say, and yet you felt like he would not really follow any of the advice that you had. So the best that you could do was try and get through to him and see what you could do about this. He looks away, his gaze distant. "It's nothing. Just some personal issues." Your concern deepens. "Personal issues? Aventurine, we're a team. We face everything together. Please, just talk to me." You tell him, and he hesitates, looking away for a moment. "It's complicated," he finally says. And before you could press any further, he suddenly coughs, a harsh, painful sound that makes you wince. A few petals, delicate and crimson, escape his lips, and then flutter to the floor like a sentence. "And you here were bestowed with the gift of judgment." Your eyes widen in horror as you see what happened in front of you. "Aventurine, you're coughing up petals? Just what is going on here?" He sighs heavily, his shoulders slumping. "It's called hanahaki disease, and it's caused by unrequited love," he whispers. It is too much. With the way his throat is hurting, his entire chest is burning, and it is not only with the pain of the thorns, but the pain of loving someone, and knowing that someone would not ever return his feelings. He doesn't know why he thinks it's that way, but to him it seems almost certain. You are too good for him, and he does not think himself deserving of you. Your heart skips a beat when he says those words, and you look at him. Unrequited love? But who? Who could it be? He doesn't meet your eyes, his silence speaking volumes. The realization hits you like a freight train. It is you. Aventurine is in love with you, and his feelings have manifested in this cruel, painful disease. "Aventurine," you whisper, tears welling up in your eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" I didn't want to burden you, he admits, his voice barely above a whisper. I thought I could handle it, but it's getting worse. You reach out, gently touching his arm. You should have told me. You never have to go through anything like this alone. He finally looks at you, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and longing. I didn't want to lose you. You won't. You assure him, your voice firm. But we need to find a way to help you. We need to find a cure. He shakes his head. There's no cure. Not unless you. Go on. Tell me. You say, desperation creeping into your voice. Not unless you return my feelings, he says, his voice breaking. But I can't ask that of you. It's not fair. You take a deep breath, your mind racing with so many thoughts and emotions. Aventurine, listen to me. You've always been there for me, always supported me. And I never realized how deep your feelings ran, but I care about you too, more than I ever realized. I see it now. His eyes widen in surprise. You do? You nod, taking his hand on yours. Yes, and I'm willing to try, to see where this goes. I don't want to lose you either. Aventurine looks at you, hope and disbelief warring in his eyes. Are you sure? I am. Let's face this together, Aventurine. You say with a smile, holding his hands and squeezing them. And the days that follow are a whirlwind of emotions and challenges. You spend more times with him, talking, laughing, and learning about each other in ways you never had before. And slowly but surely, the petals become fewer, his coughs less frequent, and one evening as you sit together under the stars, he turns to you, his eyes shining with gratitude. Thank you, he says, soft, for everything. You smile, leaning your head on his shoulder. We still have a long way to go, but you'll get through it. Together now. He wraps his arms around you, holding you close, and nods. And as the stars twinkle above, you know that no matter what challenges lie ahead, you and Aventurine will face them hand in hand, heart to heart.